So the first thing about his bio, he said he wished he had ignored his family and church sooner. That was his starting line. He has been telling in my shows a few times, wonderful storyteller, always surprised me with interesting, amazing stories. So let's welcome Devin Willow.
The pastor of the church I joined after college once told me that he considered patriarchy a good thing because of all the people who thought it was a bad thing. Ignoring that sometimes people are right to hate things, I was dedicated to reinforcing patriarchy for far too much of my life, usually through church organizations. Methodist Men's Group, Men's Bible Study, Young Men's Bible Study, College Christian Fellowship, Courtship Study. That last one was to help us determine how to pursue romantic relationships in a godly way, but may as well have been taught using a marriage manual from a previous century. One thing that has struck me as I've revisited my old way of thinking was the sheer number of rules created to reinforce traditional gender roles. Every minutiae of modern life needed to be filtered into one camp or another, masculine or not masculine. There was nothing neutral, and there was no other categories. A man takes out the garbage, he does not use the garbage disposal. A man smokes cigars, not cigarettes, and never weed because that's immoral. A man does not wear pink, or any light colors really, in fact mostly dark colors. A man crosses his legs at the ankle, not the knee. Or better yet, keep both legs as far apart as possible. Superman pose 24/7. A man drinks coffee, not tea. A man drinks whiskey, not gin. A man pays for everything, earns enough money so that his wife doesn't have to work, and is always the one driving the car. That last one was taken very seriously too. If a man did not drive his wife, or she drove every once in a while, he might as well relinquish all pretense of calling himself a man. Because the husband needs to be in charge, it logically followed that he had to be the one driving the car. If his wife drove, maybe she was the one secretly driving the home, and that represented a complete upending of society. That logic should have made me realize how shaky the grounds of this society were in the first place if they could so easily be undone. But I was too busy to make sure that I was always driving everywhere. One night, while I was still in college, a friend invited me to dinner at his house with his wife and kids. He picked me up, drove me up to his place, and we had a nice time. It ran a little later than we expected, so they invited me to crash on their couch and drive me home in the morning. I agreed that was best, but I hadn't brought my glasses or a spare case for my contact lenses with me. It was toward the end of the month, and they were an old pair anyway, so I threw them away and went to bed. The next morning, my friend had to leave early for work, so his wife offered to let me drive myself home, and then she would take their kids the rest of the way to school. I got in the passenger seat because I couldn't see more than 10 feet in front of me, and the kids were shocked. "No, you're supposed to be the one driving. Why are you in the passenger seat? What's going on?" When my friend's wife came out and saw me ready to be driven somewhere instead of ready to drive, she had the same anxious questions. I explained the situation with my contact lenses and my vision, and she got into the driver's seat with glum resignation. As she started the car, she looked at me and said, "You're setting a terrible example for my children." At the time, I only knew to feel shame. Now, I wonder what the hell she would have wanted me to do. Yeah, I could have had the foresight to bring my glasses or something, but what difference would that have made? Her children were traumatized because a man was a passenger while their mom drove for 10 minutes? Would I have set a better example by driving blind? I have come to understand what an untenable position trying to keep all these rules straight is, and how unstable the whole enterprise of trying to constantly abide by them is. No wonder these men are angry all the time. They're constantly worrying about making enough money with no family planning skills. They're constantly running around because God forbid anyone else do any driving. They can't show emotion or enjoy any of the finer things in life. They can't even wear bright colors or a fancy belt sometimes. Of course the suicide rate among men is skyrocketing. A man uses soap, not body wash. A man uses shampoo, not conditioner. A man does not get any kind of spa treatment, massage, or pampering. A man does not wear makeup or even thinks to ask about that. A man does not use bubble bath, except Al Pacino in that one scene in Serpico because he was with a woman. That's okay. I had a roommate who asked for a bubble bath on a trip to the grocery store once, and we made fun of him for years. I was glad to make fun of him too, because it meant that everyone wasn't making fun of me anymore. I was an English major who preferred tea to coffee and spoke French. I was doomed. A man doesn't study abstract things like art and philosophy and literature. A man studies concrete things like engineering and physics and chemistry, except quantum physics because that's too abstract, or any science that might lead a man astray into believing in evolution. A man doesn't speak any other languages besides English, although languages like German and Russian are okay. I explained that my high school only offered Spanish, French, and Latin, and was told that I should have chosen Latin because it was less soft than the other two, and was one of the languages of the Bible, even though it isn't. Didn't those other two languages have Latin roots? Shut up. My parents signed me up for every sport growing up to the point where I would beg and plead with tears in my eyes not to play Little League anymore. Later, my friends would take me hunting and fishing to encourage more masculine behavior, because there's nothing gay about standing in the wilderness with a group of men holding phallic symbols. I haven't talked to any of these people in many, many years, but I wonder if they're still at this, trying to conform all areas of modern life into these rigid strictures. Does a man use Gmail but not Hotmail? Does a man use Twitter and not Instagram? Unless it's to post pictures of guns, I guess? Like an overeager honors student in a 10th grade Latin class trying to come up with new terms. How would the ancient Romans say virtue signaling? And if I saw them now, I'd tell them what I tell that kid. You can stop! It's a dead language! None of this matters! I've learned to enjoy the taste of coffee, but I still drink tea when I'm not feeling well. My French is a bit rusty, but I still read poetry. I am happily married to another man. Yeah. I have learned to stop trying to parse everything into meaningless categories, and everyone is better off. Thank you.